when you have a chance. Basically, they're saying that 3 vaccines, RSV, the flu shot, and the COVID update. Some specifics on each. So RSV vaccine is actually not yet FDA fully approved. It's not rolled out. The recommendation is for everybody over the age of 60 to get it, and particularly for people who have at the higher risk for severe respiratory illness, regardless of the age. So they're still saying, please talk to your doctor. It's not a blank statement for this vaccine because it is new. The flu vaccine, I don't think it's much worth of discussion, and nothing new is going to be happening there. However, with COVID, there are a number of updates. So first of all, the new vaccine is going to be monovalent, means it's not going to include the old strain. So the original strain is not going to be present in all the updated vaccines, all the updated boosters. There will only include the Omicron and sort of collection of the new subvariants. Now, that's not a final release. The boosters have not been yet formally approved. The anticipation that sometime in September, CDC is going to make a recommendation and FDA will approve some of them. Well, both. There's going to be 2. There's going to be Pfizer, Moderna 1, and then also the Novavax. So there's going to be those 2. When they're going to actually start administering them, I don't know. It's actually not very clear from how I'm reading this. They're saying they will be ready in 2 months, meaning sometime in October. Meantime, what you should be doing, nothing if you have already had a vaccine in the last 12 months. If you have not had a vaccine, the booster in 12 months, and you really want to get it, it's okay. You can go ahead and get it. But remember, again, updated vaccine may be in some way better because it'll be basically tailored better to the current strains. They are claiming that all new variants going to be included in this. I do believe that, actually, because the new strains, even the new one that we talked about a couple of days ago, it's still a Omicron descendant, and it's supposed to, the original vaccine is supposed to have some protection. The original Omicron booster should have some protection against it. So I don't think that they're simply removing the first strain out of the vaccine, and then they kind of broadening the coverage for the Omicron. So again, I am against multiple shots, like there's one specific recommendation for high-risk individuals. They say you can get another booster a few months after this one. I'm completely against this. I have not seen any data supporting that particular statement. Maybe the exception is people who are extremely ill. Basically, somebody like an organ transplant on a severe immune suppressants, or a cancer patient undergoing high-dose chemotherapy or radiation, full-body radiation, not even a regular biologic or regular chemo treatment. So there may be some exceptions to this, which getting multiple shots in several months in a row would make sense. Everybody else, I don't see any reason whatsoever. I just don't see the additive benefit in more boosters. And as you know, there is some fear of autoimmune reactions from multitudes of vaccines. It is going to be a little bit of I'm giving balanced information. So there's going to be a little bit of an experimentation. I still strongly do not get all 3 or 2 shots together, no matter who tells you what. I think it's basically completely unresearched. There's no data that you can take all 3 shots together. Moreover, there's no even there will never be a data, because even if they try to design trial like this, following up it for 3, 5, 10 years forward is not going to be practical. Nobody's going to do this. They're going to do assessment for 3 months, not see anything, and say you're fine. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. There's no real reason for that. You can simply space things a couple of weeks apart. I recommend 3 to 4 weeks to give your immune system time to sort of rebalance after each booster, after each shot. That's all for today. I don't have anything because this is pretty big news. I just suggest you actually review this, because the link, I put stat news, but it's everywhere. So whichever your preferred news channel, that's fine. They are putting number of specifics there, as it's based on the CDC interview with the reporters on this Thursday. Okay, and then next time we will cover an interesting topic of using multivitamins for cognitive decline prevention. I am putting a link to my YouTube in there, but that's for the next time. let's do questions. We have 5 minutes. You know the drill. Put the questions in a link, in a chat, or unmute if you really want to ask something, and go ahead and ask. Cecile asked an interesting question. When should I get RSV vaccine? Well, when it rolls out. You can't get it now. So I think once it rolls out, if you decide you're going to go get it, go get it. Again, space it out a couple of weeks at least from everything else you do, whether you're going to get a COVID and the flu shots. All right. Anything else? Any questions? Yeah. So, by the way, you guys do post questions to everyone. Otherwise, I have to reread them and repost them. So if you put in question directly to yourself, about yourself for me to answer personally, that's different. But if you're asking general question, put it to everybody so everybody can see it. Okay, CJ asking, do you see increased COVID cases now? Everywhere, massive increase, like a massive increase. We're talking about, compared to a couple of weeks ago, we probably have a 4 to 5-fold number of cases. So it's a rapid uptick. It's still low numbers in total compared to, say, a year from. But the magnitude of increases were extremely rapid. If nothing changes, we will be back into pretty high numbers in no time. I'm talking about a couple of weeks, if that doesn't begin leveling off. Why that is happening is not clear. It seems to be quite interesting is that I have not seen anybody have any even moderate illness. I even had a lot of people I didn't give Paxlovid to because they basically was a lighter than the flu. We have a lot of people who are currently having a summer flu. Some of them gotten quite sick, including my older kid who had 6 days of a high-grade fever up to 104. We couldn't even figure out what was happening. He couldn't lift the head out of the pillow. And finally, he broke the fever after a while. And that's with intravenous vitamin C, whole bunch of vitamins, homeopathy, and he still was sick that way. And at the same time, I had a patient who had an advanced Parkinson at the age of 95, got a COVID, 1 day of low-grade fever, perfectly fine the next day. So I feel like basically everything that I'm seeing right now, numbers are growing up, but the severity goes down. Keeps going down. Now, what you should be doing, you should be definitely masking in the large spaces if you're at risk. If you're not in any risk, take your chances if you want, because frankly, masking in certain environments becoming harder and harder. You look weirder and weirder. And so with that in mind, if you don't care about this and you're one of those people, I don't give a damn about who says what about what I do what I need to do, perfectly fine, put your mask on. Still use K95, especially if they're sitting comfortably. I think they're still way better than surgical. And by the way, the same article that I posted there, if you go all the way down to the article, they actually have an interesting point stating that there is some more new data coming from Europe saying that the masking had a dramatically decreased mortality. We're talking about millions of lives were saved with the basic preventive methods. Now in the aftermath, they can do analysis a lot more accurate than when they could during. So yeah, with that. What about the new non-Omicron variant? Who knows what the trajectory is going to be. I think I'm not going to talk about this. I think I said that last week or maybe a week before. I'm not going to talk about any of these variants. There's a gazillion of them potentially. I'm not going to talk about them until they actually hit a point where we need to start worrying about them. They're sort of like they come and go. And talking about each one of them every time is useless for us because most of them just disappear. And like there was this Indian variant and then South African variant, who knows? They're going to keep coming up. It sounds like the reason Omicron is so taken off is that it's so contagious. It's much more contagious than prior ones. And I think that's why we're seeing a massive uptick. Not only because of the masking is gone, but because it's also very contagious, but it's seemingly even less virulent. So that's a good news. I also haven't seen anybody in the last few months go from acute COVID to the long COVID, not a single patient in my practice. Now, let's say that's 24 of COVID cases just with me alone. So still a small number, but usually in the past, for 12 of cases, we'd have at least one person to move to the long COVID, and now we're not seeing any. I mean, small sample number in one practice. Who knows what that means? But but it's still reassuring. That's how I see it. Okay, will your previous protocol for prevention reaction to vaccine work? It should be, sure. Shouldn't make any difference whatsoever. Because it's not, the protocol that we used actually doesn't even have to be applied for COVID only. You can apply it for any viral, illnesses, because it's a general health immune booster and antiviral protocol. It has nothing to do with particularities over each strain of COVID or any other viral infection. All right. Well, good. Not a lot of questions today. I mean, that's fine. I'm at my 15 minutes. Maybe let's take one more question if somebody is burning. Otherwise, we'll pass it on to Amy. All right. Thank you, Amy, so much for joining. Tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then jump right in.
Thank you. Hey, guys. My name is Amy Santis. Can you hear me? Thumbs up. Yep. Okay, cool. I am a musician and designer, but most importantly, which I think why I've been attracted to this group is I've always been curious around how can we have like optimal health and what does that mean to everyone in all these different stages of life that we're at. And as someone who makes music, mainly vocals, recording over sound, I've always been curious around like the words that I'm using. How does this play into how I feel? How is it when I feel a certain song or sound? And what does that do inside of my body? And so more so curiosity and this hypothesis around, can sound solve our problems? Or in what ways can sound be in the relationship into our life in that way? But before we dive into this really cool PowerPoint that you'll see, we're going to do an activity. So we are going to do a Qigong activity, which is going to be the most simplest thing ever. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And you can do this sitting down or standing up. I'm finding the sharing the screen button. Share screen. That's the super cool PowerPoint, but let's go to the next tab. All right, so can you guys see like the galaxy stars on the screen? Yeah, okay, cool. So for this exercise, you can keep your eyes open. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be using our hands, and we're basically going to be lifting our hands from our waist all the way up to about our neck and then back down, sort of kind of lightly as if we were picking up a balloon. So we're not doing it fast and we're not doing it slow. So if you want to join me now in moving your hands up from your waist all the way up to your neck, gently, sort of like a balloon, slowly, as slow as possible, because if we're pushing down a balloon, we don't want it to go everywhere. So it's sort of like, how slow can we push down this balloon? How slow can we pick up the balloon? And we're sort of kind of keeping our hands aligned in a straight line. Now, as we do this, we're going to exhale. There's no right or wrong way to do this as we push down this invisible balloon. And then as we turn our hands over to pick up the balloon, we're going to inhale. Now, if this doesn't work, we can always put your hands out in front of you and push it down. And then turn over and push it back up and do the same rhythm. So I'll go ahead and do that way. And I'm going to play the music. And we're just going to be doing this super slowly, or you can do it like this. So as slowly as possible, inhaling and exhaling, and I'll gently guide us through it as well. Can you hear the music?
No, we can't.
Your video hasn't been started.
Okay, so let me try it one more time. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay.
I think,
then it will
Amy,
be-
I think you need to go to the audio settings and share the sound through the audio setting under settings.
Okay, so we go to
There's a share screen. If you also can do it through advanced sharing options. No, sorry, not that. It is under settings.
settings, so that would be here. Okay, that would not be here. All right, one moment, guys.
The video hasn't been started if we're supposed to look at it.
Oh, actually, that may be also the true. So the video is not playing, actually. It's just a standing screen. So you can try that too. You can just click play.
And make it full screen.
Okay, let me try that. Oh, here we go. There's a button, share sound. Got it. Share for video clip.
But now share your video.
Now let's.
Just click play. You're not playing the video, it's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's loading.
Oh, it's loading. I see.
One moment, guys. All right, can we hear it?
Yes. We can.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you for your patience.
Now, what you might want to do is go on your YouTube and bump it out to full screen.
Okay. You can hear my voice and the sound at the same time. Yay. All right. Audio engineering is not my specialty, so I appreciate
Okay.
I appreciate the troubleshooting.
It
All right,
seems to have
so
stopped.
all right, so then
We just hear you now. We're not hearing music.
okay, so you don't hear the sound.
No.
Okay. So then what I'll do is I'll continue to play it and we'll just improvise and go through the flow. So then as we look at these really cool bubbles on the screen, we'll enjoy the sounds of the naturalness around, whether it's my voice or whatever sound you're hearing in your own personal space. And we'll continue the exercise. Okay, so we're going to start at our waist or elbow length, whether it's in front of us like this or in a straight line. And we're going to gently inhale as we pick up this balloon really slowly.
Excuse me, your video is not playing. Maybe you could just stand up and do it. We can watch you.
Are you saying like you can't see me?
I can see you and I can see the video. The video's not playing. So
I just put up the screen visually.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we went in a different direction because of the sound. So only sound that we're enjoying as music is my voice. Okay, so we'll go through the exercise, which can be done sitting down or standing up. And this is either our hands are at our waist or in front of us. And we'll go ahead and start with our palms facing up, either elbow length, waist, or in front of us. And we're going to pretend that we have an imaginary balloon, perhaps two balloons in our hands with our palms facing up. And we're going to gently inhale slowly as we're picking up this imaginary balloon. So we want to be mindful that our palms are straight and that we're not going so fast that we drop this balloon. And then we're going to gently turn over. The balloon is still in our hands and push it down, exhaling. And then we continue to bring our hands up as slowly as possible. And then we turn our hands over and exhale. And then as we notice on our screens, there's invisible, we'll call them bubbles or stars floating. Let's see if our hands and our breath can move as slowly as the bubbles on the screen. Or maybe our gaze goes to the pyramid and we just notice our breath. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just a moment to tune in. So exhaling, moving our hands. Inhaling. And maybe it's not a balloon, maybe it's water. We've ever carried water in our hand, we know if we move super fast, it's going to go everywhere. So we move super slowly, exhaling. Noticing our awareness in our hands and our breath. few more times and then move on to the slide. Slowing down. All right. So then we'll take our hands and we'll just shake it out. Maybe you go like this. Maybe do the wave. Rinse. I'm gonna pause the video and go on to the slide. Okay. So can sound solve our problems? Before we dive into this, if you feel comfortable writing in the chat, can you tell me who is your favorite singer or artist or band? If you have one, this could be from any time. This could be from any genre. Maybe you don't have a favorite band. Maybe you have a favorite artist. Maybe you have your top two, but go ahead and write it in the chat. Driftwood Soldier, Jennifer said. Kathy said there's some echo-like sound before. Is that still going on or no?
Kathy, do you still hear it?
Was that maybe when we're trying to do the sound? Okay,
Kathy,
let me know.
If you're still here, you can unmute yourself and let us know. She left.
Okay. Anyone else want to share who their favorite musician or artist is? There's no right or wrong. This is, I feel like sometimes we get a little judgmental because we're like, what? There's music. Music is universal. All right, Linda says, okay, now it's going back. All right, Linda said 60s, 70s, Motown, soft rock, and classical, any era. Jennifer said Nina Simone. Alyssa said yes, but it's a pleasant sound. That's good. Elva said, I love lots of music. I enjoy Simrit. Just went to her concert this summer. CJ said, love all genres. Rick said, Ava Cassidy. Okay, cool. So I find it interesting how we connect as humans through sounds, and so that's why I thought it would be cool to ask. Oh no, how do I move this chat? Okay, so I guess I'll share a little bit more. So my name is Amy Santis. I'm a designer by day. I love all things creative and music. And so music, I'm always curious around how can we live optimal health? How can us as humans face time from the other side of the world, but still sometimes fall into these same curiosities around health and wellness. So this is sort of my curiosity thinking and hypothesis. Well, how can sound solve our problems and things like that? So here's a funny picture of me and my sister when we were both in middle school. And I bring this up because her and I, we used to play a game when we did long car rides to visit a family member. And this game would be radio. That's the name of the game. Maybe you guys have played it. I don't know if it's a universal game, but this game would be, we would just poke each other and it would be like turning a knob. So we would just sing a song, like if it's my turn to be the radio, I would just sing a song and then she would poke me as if you're poking a button on a radio, and then I would just sing another song. And then we would just continue to do that back and forth. And what I find interesting when I was thinking of what to put on this PowerPoint is the fact of how DNA and memory is connected to sound, and how does that play a part into what state of consciousness we put ourselves into when we go down these memory lanes of different music, whether that's positive, whether that's negative, whether that's neutral. Maybe it brings us back into a moment of being with another family member, or being with a previous lover or a current lover or grandchildren. I just find it super interesting. And so I invite the curiosity around learning more about DNA and sound. I'm not the go-to person for that. I'm just here as the messenger of the things that I've been YouTubing on my own. So then I Google searched, I'm like, okay, music is universal. So then I Googled, well, what is sound, right? Because sometimes we don't look as a society like, oh, you make sounds. We kind of put that in a separate box of music. And so doing a Google search, I'm like, okay, well, sound is clearly vibration that travels through the air or another medium. And so I found that curious around like, okay, well, how does the relationship to the human body relate to vibration in it traveling through air, and how this may be connected to DNA and memory? So then as a messenger, I'm like, okay, well, what cool YouTube video can I bring to you guys as I'm still a student and learning about this around the relationship between sound, DNA, consciousness, and solving our problems. I don't want to be the one as the go-to person. So I'm like, let me bring you a video that can bring a little bit more insight around what I'm saying in a thoughtful way. Now, the interesting thing here will be, will the YouTube play the sound for you guys through Zoom? So let's move this box. All right, so you should be seeing on the screen, do we see a guy with a coffee cup? We see that, okay, cool. Now, if I disconnect this, that might help. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna play the video and let's see, I live near an airport, so you may hear that as well, airplanes flying by. So let's see if this video plays. Let's give it a chance. Do you hear it? Okay. Interesting. Now, I'm gonna try one more thing, and now, Janet, can I send you this video through the chat, and then could you pull it up just to be mindful of time?
Yeah, we can try that.
Yeah, you can try that or send it to me. Let's put it in the chat. We'll see.
Okay, cool.
Just the link.
Because I feel awesome. Chat. All right, just sent.
Poly mailers are a great way to package your products. And with sticker
And we're gonna
custom poly mailers has never been easier or faster. Our custom poly mailers printed to be full color and shipped within 4 days.
I just want to say you guys are so kind as we explore this audio engineering on the back end.
So we do hear a sound. It sounds like advertisement.
Yeah, I'm trying. I had to bounce out to go to share screen.
Cool. So then we're gonna start at 2 minutes. Janet,
everyone
please.
and everything that we come into contact with.
And then we'll play it until 11 minutes.
In this new Gaia original series, explore sacred geometry, ancient traditions, hidden history, quantum physics, brainwave patterns, music theory, and much more to learn about frequency.
frequencies in nature in our vibrational multiverse. I welcome you to another exclusive presentation on my channel, presented to you by Gaia, called
Hey,
Sound of
Janet.
Creation.
Could we
Stick
start the
around until
video
the
at
end of
2
the video
minutes?
for a special offer from Gaia, exclusive to all my subscribers.
Okay, is everybody hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, but were you hearing it before I stop share screening?
Yes, we did.
Okay, good.
Could you start it at 2 minutes and then it will only watch it until 11 minutes?
Okay,
now,
you want me to stop it at what?
This is the process of thinking.
11 minutes?
Okay,
What we may not realize is that this very process affects our reality. One of the fundamental principles in ancient indigenous spiritual traditions is the understanding that what we think and what we feel influences the physical world around us. American inventor Henry Ford famously said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." In other words, your beliefs are frequencies mirrored in the world around you. It's our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and even our beliefs have physical representations in the world around us.
Well, thoughts really direct our reality, both from how we perceive and the things we make out of our reality and what's happening in our environment. And they can affect what we manifest out of the quantum field into our physical reality.
Every time we think, every thought that we create in our head actually leaves our head as a wave of light. We know this because we can put a cap on someone's head with electrodes on it to pick up those waves of light and send them to a computer so we can analyze the brain. When you think about something, that information goes out eternally into space-time as a wave. From a physics perspective, all possibilities exist as potentials in the field, which is in constant motion in the quantum realm. And each of us has the ability to visualize and perhaps create these potentials. Expanded consciousness is the state of being awake and aware within this field. Now, as a scientist in the modern world, when I began to hear this, it didn't make sense because my conditioning was that we're separate from our world, that we have little influence over the body within us, let alone the world around us.
Hey, Janet, if you can hear me, I think the sound had stopped playing.
hi, sorry, I muted myself. So was everybody hearing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Until we started to notice, I think it was atoms, then it began to, it like muted.
Okay. All right, well, we'll go back to screen share.
Researcher Masaru Emoto studied how thoughts affect our physical world. He experimented with 3 beakers of rice and water. Every day for a month, he said thankful words to the first beaker. For the second one, he spoke hateful phrases to the rice, such as, "You're an idiot." He completely ignored the third beaker. After 30 days, the first beaker of rice gave off a pleasant scent and began to ferment. The rice in the second beaker turned black. And the rice in the third beaker started to rot.
The worst rice samples is the one that was ignored. The same can be said in our daily lives when dealing with children. Ignoring children is the worst thing we can do. Even if we have to scold them occasionally, communication is very important.
Leonardo da Vinci seems to have encrypted the Great Pyramid of Giza into the Vitruvian Man, along with
Communication, thoughts, and behaviors have a frequency, which is why many cultures emphasize the importance of speaking, thinking, and acting with integrity. And it's all about the words, the vibration, then the meaning that we give to those words, the vibration that we assign to those words. And this begins to help us to understand the true power of language in our lives. You did such a great job on this.
Our thoughts could create static within the field. They could create, interferences that get in the way of the things we're actually trying to manifest. We have all this subconscious thought that's also going on below the surface, and that creates a lot of ripples and static and unnecessary waves upon the field.
This begins to help us to understand how the power of a thought can influence the way that neurons connect, the way that entire neural networks connect, and our ability through those neural networks to communicate not only within us, but to the world around us. Our thoughts constantly affect the field, but what in the field influences our thoughts and consciousness? And what role does the brain play?
When we observe the human brain, there's a few things that can be deceiving. One is that we think of it as the seat of consciousness. We think of it as this place where somehow consciousness is manufactured. I don't think that is accurate. You can think of the brain as like part of the antenna that the body is actually tapping into a field of information.
Hey, Janet, if you can hear me, it muted again.
Electromagnetic
Oh, we're
waves
good.
are being received by the antenna of the radio. You interpret what's coming in and you send it back through the nature of your protons and the Planck field into the universe.
The universe emits a huge spectrum of frequencies that can tune our consciousness in a variety of ways. When we think about how sound affects our consciousness, we have the ability through chanting, through meditation, through song, to amplify our thoughts to a greater degree than perhaps most realize. And in amplifying our thoughts, we're having a direct effect on not only our own consciousness, but the consciousness of everyone that we come into contact with.
It was found that when we use music, it tremendously increases our mental abilities. So music is not just for relaxation. It's not just for fun, but it's much more than that. With music, we can much easier transform to higher states of consciousness.
You play a national anthem and people are ready to march into battle and lay down their lives. So music affects us dramatically. It's almost like we're in our culture, we're programmed by our music. Just imagine if we can actually apply this in a way that is directed at navigating or directing our culture into a higher frequency or vibration. That's where we're at right now.
Music in general, listening or playing, is one of the few things that can light up the whole brain simultaneously, as seen on an EEG scan. This can cause the consciousness to harmonize, as we can use more of our total brain capacity in these coherent states.
Oh, mystical traditions, people have been using music. Cultural traditions, people was using music. We can't comprehend our civilization without music. So without music, we don't have civilization.
Rhythms of music that you listen to, or the rhythms of sounds that you expose yourself to, have a very entraining process on the psyche. And if you have the proper overlay of frequencies, you can actually bring the body into a harmonic state of resonance where the respiratory system slows down and the heartbeat slows down.
Emotions such as anger, laughing, or crying can move us to be more synchronized with others.
Entrainment is all around us at all times. Some examples of entrainment are when people are dancing together, or when women live together. Often their menstrual cycles will sync up to the same rhythm. Or if you have a room full of pendulum clocks, over a short time, all of the pendulums will sync back and forth to the same rhythm. All rhythms of life seek harmony by the nature of the cosmic pattern underlying everything.
The oldest instrument in the world was often used to bring an individual or group into a state of alignment.
The didgeridoo can be used to entrain a group to a common frequency because, like the monochord, it is one note. Or it can be used to entrain humans to the dream time, the cosmos, the earth, or each other. It creates a common vibrational field that all of those present can enter into together.
Hey, Janet, we can pause it right there.
The impacts can be felt spiritually, mentally, emotionally, as well as physically.
There are two ways that sound affects us on a physical level. The first is called psychoacoustics, and this is where the sound goes into our ears, into our brains, affects our nervous system, our heart rate, our respiration, and our brainwaves. Very powerful when we're listening to music, when we're hearing conversation, anytime we're using our ears. But there is a second way, and this way is called vibroacoustics, and this is where the sound goes into our body on a cellular level, going down to our molecules and our DNA. And this is a very powerful and important aspect of the phenomena of sound, and particularly resonance.
Water is one medium that can help us visualize these impacts.
Some of the most wondrous work was done by Masaru Emoto, and he took different sounds, different thoughts, different feelings, different vibrations, encoded it on the water, and the water would take on different wondrous geometric shapes.
Hey, Janet, if you can hear me, we can pause the video right there.
Excuse me?
We could pause the video right there.
Okay.
So we have one more activity to do, but just out of curiosity, and don't worry, I have a playlist link, so I'll send that to you before we finish this workshop. So if you were super curious, or if you want to go back and revisit the information or explore more of that YouTube channel, you can. But are there any maybe 2-3 people that want to share something that stood out to them based off of the video that they saw, that they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about sound, or something that they were curious that they heard? And you can unmute yourself to share. Yep, go ahead. It's free flowing.
It does seem as though we see that in religious congregations that have joint music creation. So when people sing in choirs and other kind of musical contributions, it translates into emotional reactions and spiritual reactions.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. And then I think someone in the chat said, okay, got you. The pendulums, yes. Anyone else want to share before we go on to the next activity?
Music is one of the only, or is the only modality that allows the whole brain to be active and light up. I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know who said that, so I'm like scrolling through these boxes.
Isla Rappaport.
Oh, okay, cool. Yes, that is really interesting. Thank you for sharing.
For me, music connects to dance and movement, and sort of plays together also with the physical activity very closely. And it's kind of you think about this, it's the most universal human expression. If you look at any aspect of civilization from the beginning of humankind, there was some sound and some movement to that sound. So it's one of the most fundamental activities that we can think of.
I know, isn't that so cool? So fascinating. Thanks for sharing. Linda said, I'm familiar with this information, but this is a well-needed refresher. Thank you. I feel you. Sometimes I look back at this and I'm like, oh yes, these are great reminders. Okay, so Janet, I appreciate your assistance. I'm gonna send you the link for the next exercise. It's gonna be a song. So if anyone's not familiar with this, there's producers on the internet that produce instrumental sounds. And so we're actually going to choose a sentence, and if it's safe to do so in the space that you're in, we're going to be making some sounds. So I sent you the link, Janet. I'm going to pull up my screen, and or actually I guess we can't share simultaneously, so I'm going to put this in the chat while you have shared your screen for sound. So I'm going to go back to Zoom. So I'm putting in the chat a couple of sentences, and you can choose one sentence that resonates with you. I just put that in the chat. And maybe these sentences inspire a sentence of your own. But essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be choosing one of these sentences or a sentence that resonates with you. And you can make it up. There's no right or wrong way to do this. And what we're going to be doing is for about 2 minutes until the end of the session, we're just going to be playing around with our voice and just talking over the sound. Maybe we sing, maybe we say I really long, maybe we stretch out one word, maybe we say it really quickly multiple times, maybe we say it very slowly. So we're just having fun with this. We're just experimenting. If you're in a space where there's a lot of people and it's not so private, maybe you hum, maybe you whisper, maybe you write it down. But we're just playing with our own vocal sound while we do it over this beat. So Janet, if you can go ahead and play the beat, and then I'm also going to mute myself as well. And we'll do it until the end of we'll do it for about 2 minutes since we're almost done here with the workshop. If it's playing, I don't hear any sound.
What's the name of the song?
Oh, there we go. Yep, so we're gonna go ahead and just speak our one sentence over the sound.
Add sparkle to any design with glitter stickers by Sticker Mule. Glitter
Are a fun way to showcase your artwork, promote your brand.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that. How are we feeling? Was anyone in a space to do so? Make some sounds. I'm just, as you, and feel free if you want to put yourself on unmute and share. I'm just going to gather the YouTube link so that way you can go back and you can play around with this sound and you can explore the other videos as well.
Thank you, Amy, so much for this wonderful, albeit maybe a little bit technically challenging sharing.
Right? I love the patience tested in all of us.
Good. All right. And Janet, what do we have next week?
Well, let me see. Okay. Next week, we are going to be on a break because it's the Labor Day weekend.
That is right. That is what we're going to have.
So everyone enjoy your Labor Day weekend. We will see you back here on September 8th.
Ooh, thank you guys for having me.
Amy,
have a fun summer.
We'll have to have you back at some point with less technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I
everybody
appreciate you guys.
enjoy the Labor Day weekend. Hopefully the temperatures are getting a little bit better. And we have some nice fall.
Take care. Stay
Yeah.
hydrated.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.